Commission tonight, February 27th. Roll call, please.
Chairman Cox,
Here.
Vice Chairman Ferris,
Here.
Commissioner Hayman,
Here.
Commissioner Mondragon.
Here.
4 present, we have a quorum.
It is 6 p.m. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Ready to begin? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Do I have an approval for the agenda?
So move.
I'll second.
Sorry. Chairman Cox,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Ferris,
Aye.
Commissioner Hayman,
Aye.
Commissioner Mondragon.
Aye.
4 ayes, motion carries.
Do I have an approval for the minutes of 1/23/24?
I'll move if I can. I wasn't here.
Second. I'll second it.
You weren't here, right, Bernie?
Correct. Yes, I was not here.
So I'll move to approve, and
I'll second it.
you'll second. Okay.
Okay. Chairman Cox,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Ferris,
Aye.
Commissioner Hayman,
Aye.
and Commissioner Mondragon.
Aye.
Here.
All right.
Okay. This is a portion of the agenda that is provided for an opportunity for members of the public to address the commission on items of interest within the jurisdiction of the commission. Comments related to items on today's docket are to be taken at the time the item is heard. Pursuant to the Brown Act, no discussion or action other than a referral shall be taken by the commission on any issue brought forth under non-agenda public items. Persons wishing to address the commission on matters that are not on the commission's jurisdiction and do not already appear on the agenda may do so at this time. We have a total of 5 minutes per person. Please provide his or her name if addressing the commission. Is there any callers in? Seeing none, moving on. Item 1, discussion items, action taken municipal code amendment 2403, recommendation to the city council to approve an ordinance amending section 106 zoning of the Ridgecrest Municipal Code regarding the residential care homes and employee housing, not subject to CEQA. Review under CEQA section 15061B3 and 15378. Staff report.
So the California law has changed, and these are just kind of housekeeping to clean up the code to bring it up to date. The Employee Housing Act is California Health and Safety Code section 17021.5, and that requires jurisdictions to permit employee housing for 6 or fewer as a single family use. And then anything over that, they have to, it can be a conditional use or it can follow the density of the zone. So if it's R2, it can follow that density and so on. Employee housing does have to have a permit from the state though. So I do want to let you know there is a little bit more regulation than just us approving it. The California Code for emergency shelters, that includes transitional housing and supportive housing. Those code sections are in your staff report, unless you want me to rattle them off. But it requires the same type of thing where we have to have a section that's listed where emergency shelters are permitted, which we already do, that's R4. But then also too, we have to demonstrate that we have transitional housing and supportive housing considered as residential uses as well. And those uses would only be subject to the same regulations that are in the zone already. So for single family and again for multifamily, And these transitional and supportive housing, these can be anything from hospice, care homes for older people,
Assisted living.
assisted living, those types of things. But it can also be recovery homes and all of those things. So if you remember in the past, they were conditional uses and it was subject to hearings, and the state no longer allows that. So that is another update. And then the last one is that we can't have a conditional use or a variance for anything for the residential care facilities, but I'm going to clarify that that's for 6 or fewer. We can get a conditional use for residential homes that are 7 to 14. So in your staff report, you're going to see in the boxes the things that are added. We're not removing anything from the municipal code. All we're doing is adding these sections. So we're adding the definitions for employee housing, for residential care facilities, and for single-room occupancy. The other things, the supportive housing and transitional housing, we already have in the code. So what we're adding to the single-family district, the permitted uses. So again, permitted uses are uses by right, so they don't require anything other than possibly a site plan. And then the conditional uses are those that require us to have a public hearing. But so permitted uses are going to be employee housing for 6 or fewer, and then residential care homes for 6 or fewer. And then the conditional use is a residential care home for 7 to 14. And then in the R3 and R4 districts, the permitted uses are going to include the employee housing, the residential care homes for 6 or less, the single-room occupancy, supportive housing, and transitional housing. And then the conditional uses is going to be the residential care homes for 7 to 14. The last thing that we're adding in is some additional parking requirements to support these new uses that we're having. So emergency shelters, it's already in the code, but we didn't have a parking regulation for that. And then the supportive housing as well. So we're going to have a parking requirement to the extent that we can. I should clarify. And so the last part of this is that the ordinance isn't subject to CEQA. Any project that came before or had an application would be reviewed at that time, but the ordinance amendment itself is not subject to CEQA. So what we're asking tonight is a recommendation to City Council to approve the amendment to the zoning code. And I also will further say that these items are on the HCD, so the comments on our housing element update. These items are in there right now. So when I prepare comments back with our consultant, we'll be able to say that we're moving forward and making some way on all of these things. Any questions?
Commissioners?
I had a question about the employee housing for 6, that is 6 or less, correct, in residential?
Correct, yeah.
6 or fewer.
Okay. And that does require a certificate or permit from the state as well?
Right. They have to register with the state for employee housing. I don't think this is something we're going to see so much. A lot of this is about agricultural and housing for agricultural. So it's not something that we're necessarily, but the law requires that we follow those regulations, so.
Okay.
Any other comments, commissioners? With the additions?
Nope.
Okay. So what Heather has done, instead of you having to read the entire 106, is she's blocked these out for you. No questions on these particular blocks, correct?
No questions.
Okay, so then I move that we approve Resolution 2403.
I'll second.
Chairman Cox,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Ferris,
Aye.
Commissioner Hayman,
Aye.
Commissioner Mondragon.
Aye.
4 ayes, motion carries.
Okay, moving on, we have a tentative track map 7345, extension request for a 36-month extension to a previously approved tentative tract map to create 11-lot subdivision on a 3.82 acre vacant land, APN S, oh no, it's 510-020-07. Staff report.
So this is just a map extension. This map is up in College Heights area. It's rather small. There's only 11 lots. This was first approved in 2018. They did, when that approval expired, the state had issued the an extension for the COVID. So that was an 18-month extension that was automatic if they requested it. The applicant did. So they were approved to January of last year. And then January of last year, we had not updated the municipal code to the new ordinance, which allows the commission to grant 3-year extensions. So we extended it for a year at that time. So what's before you tonight is a 3-year extension. The new municipal code allows for a total of 6 years. So this is within that. The map is still in compliance with the zoning code, still in compliance with the general plan. It's estate residential. So if you guys approve this, they'll have a total of 4 years when they are then able to come back and ask again if they don't make any movement on this. When this was first reviewed, they had a CEQA exemption, so there's no further CEQA for this, and staff is recommending a 36-month approval extension.
Commissioner comments or questions?
I have a question about the, so because we approved, or we've gone to a 36-month extension, and there's already a year and a half on there, does that mean the next extension will only be for the remainder of the time, or does that actually give them more time now?
No,
And
so.
can we do that?
Oh, yeah. So the law says that we, and which is what we adopted in the municipal code, that we can only do, well, let me clarify that the commission can only grant 6 years total. So the 18 months that they got previously does not count because that's a state automatic. So you guys have done 1, so they would have 4 years. And if they were to come back in 3 years and ask, then we would say it's only a 2-year that's available.
And we can say it's only a 2-year, even though it's
Right.
really a
Yeah, 'cause
36
they've already
month.
had 12 months.
And
Well-
I get that, but just for clarity,
Because the code says in 36-month increments.
Right.
But then the law is going to supersede what the code says.
Okay.
So we're going to say, you already did, because you can only have a max of 6. And so when any of these maps that we've done this, because the other ones that we did last year are going to have, might face the same thing, where we're going to have weird periods of time till we get them all done, right? And have brand-new maps where we're extending for 3-year periods at that time. So all of those, it's going to be a, yes, the code says you can do it for 36 months. However, it's for a total of 6 years. So there's only 1 year left, or 2 years, whatever.
thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions? Public comment, anybody on the phone? Seeing none, I'm assuming it's Resolution 18-18, correct?
No. Sorry. That is the, I didn't clarify that. So the map is still subject to all of the conditions of approval in the Planning Commission resolution that you just read off, so 1818. It doesn't change any of the conditions of approval. They still have to meet all those. This is going to be Resolution 24-05.
So I move that we approve 2405, extension to the map for an additional 3 years. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Chairman Cox?
Aye.
Vice Chairman Ferris?
Aye.
Commissioner Hayman?
Aye.
Commissioner Mondragon?
Aye.
4 ayes, motion carries.
Okay, moving on, annual progress report for the general plan housing element. And RHNA, recommendation of the City Council and direct staff to submit the annual progress report to the California Department of Housing and Community Development and the Office of Planning and Research. Staff report.
I do have a copy up here if our public wants to review it, because I did not print any extra agendas, but if you would like to review it, it is up there.
I thought you were going to read it tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to read the whole thing. Word for word. It's only 50 pages. It shouldn't be a problem. So the state of California, the Housing and Community Development Department, and the Office of Planning and Research requires all cities and counties to present an annual progress report to its jurisdiction, and then for the jurisdiction to approve it and for us to submit it to each of those departments by April 1st. And I'll clarify, there are two different reports. The Housing Element Progress Report, that's telling the state how all of our permits and all of our construction, all of our entitlements for the year. And that is all of the very small spreadsheets that are at the end of the report, but they are summarized in the written report. So this year, our housing units, single family, we entitled 572. That also includes all of the track maps that we've extended. So that's the total units of housing for single family that mostly you guys approved. For permitted, we had 6 single family homes permitted, and then there were 12 that were completed. So 12 single family houses got certificates of completion. ADUs, so those were new for us. Entitled, so those are staff level entitlements. We did 18. 13 of those were permitted, and 1 was final. Also, too, I want to tell you guys that these pictures are our newest neighborhoods. So this is Abigail Street. For 2 to 4 units, we entitled 26. There were 30 more permitted, and 6 were completed. The 5+ units, we had 366. The bulk of that, if you remember, is the Villa Crest Apartments, because that was like 300 and something. But we had that, so that's the largest portion of that. And then no additional were permitted, and then completed was 76, and that's the Mojave View. This is another new construction. These are the duplexes that are new over on Locust. So our infill housing, we had 33 that were permitted and 49 completed. In the applications, we had 28 applications that were submitted for 985 units, and we approved all of those. Streamlining, so SB 9, which allowed for the multifamily or duplexes in single-family zones. We had 12 applications, which produced 24 units. And this is Thomas Street that you're seeing in the background. So then the general plan progress, this is the progress that all of the city took. So any of the actions that were taken to help us meet the goals that are in the general plan. So our general plan elements are land use, the military sustainability, the community design, open space, health and safety, housing and circulation. We completed 1 amendment. So that was the general plan amendment that increased the density for the Villa Crest Apartments. And those were 361 units. This is just a quick kind of summary of all the actions to kind of let you guys know what council and the rest of staff has been doing. You guys know about the land use and the military and community design because those are our parcel maps. Any of the ordinances that you guys approved, the track maps, the site plans, all of those types of things. and all of the housing, obviously. So you can see all of those housing maps that you guys went through. For circulation, that includes all of our roads and our transit, health and safety. Some of that has to do with our transit. And then, of course, Parks has been very busy this year. If you guys are interested, Narissa, our Parks and Rec director, did a great presentation at the beginning of council last meeting and went over all their projects and gave updates on those. So if you guys are interested in a little bit more detail about what Parks and Rec has been up to. So for circulation element, they held the public hearings for the unmet transit needs. And we have the crack fill for Measure V, chip and seal for Mahan, resurfacing of West Ward, Phase 1 and 2 of Franklin, street improvements for La Mirage, I'm going to go back just because it's, Public Works. This is our new intersection without a dip, on Ward and Norma. So I'm just excited about that because I drive it all the time. So thank you to Travis. That's true, but this is great because when it's green, you can just go through without having to make a complete stop. But continuing on, so for open space and conservation, that's going to be a lot of our Parks and Recreation projects. The background of this is their design for the Penny, or the Sergeant Penny Pool Memorial Pool. Sorry, that's a mouthful. But they also did the flooring at Kerr-McGee Center and the partitions. They did bathrooms and park roofs and shade structures at baseball and football fields. And our health and safety includes the law enforcement services with Sierra Sands, and health and safety also includes our environmental, so the electric van. So some of the goals that staff has this year is completing these zoning codes, which you guys have already now seen all of them. So all of these things you guys have seen and approved. We have a lot of rezoning to do. We have some clarification for professional office zones. There's some commercial sites that need a little bit of help. And we have some single family and some multifamily sites that we're looking to rezone. So that's going to come to you guys hopefully this year. Also, we are excited that we were able to get a grant to cover the cost of a GIS map for our zoning and eventually more. But it will allow people to be able to go, developers, even just your regular person, to go and you'll be able to click on the parcel and tell the zoning, including, not just what zone, but what the setbacks are on the properties, which is really helpful. The realtors have been begging for something that's much more user-friendly than the PDF we have now. So we were able to secure some grant funds to do that this year. And then we also have, in the same grant, we have funds to do an ADU and duplex standard plan. The ADU standard plan is going to be a requirement by law next year, so we're ahead of the game and we'll have that done as well.
Keep in mind, that'll be a reoccurring fee that we have to take care of to update it code-wise.
All right.
Yeah. So the action tonight is just a recommendation to City Council to direct staff to submit the annual reports to the HCD and the OPR. Any questions?
Got one. For the rezoning, is that something you can share with us right now that we're looking to do next year? Are you going to leave us in suspense?
Yeah, I can give you. So Atkins, or is it Atkins or Graf? Atkins, I think. It's one of the, where Atkins, Purdue, one of those is zoned professional office, which professional office does allow for multifamily as a conditional use. But as we all know, there's nothing but duplexes. So there's no reason why it's zoned that. The same exact issue is on Ward, across from the old Albertsons at the intersection that, there's multifamily units there. That's zoned professional office. So I am seeking to clean that up. The same thing I think is on Balsam or Sanders Street as well. So I have them all marked. So I just want to clean that up. We know it's residential. There's residential being used there. There's no reason it's zoned professional office. And, when it comes before you guys, how much professional office do we need?
Sure.
Times might have changed a lot since we did that zoning map. There is a private property that's zoned for institutional use. So I'm looking to correct that. I have some commercial use that is rezoned. I don't know why. It's subdivided like it's housing and it's in a residential neighborhood. The property owner I talked to years ago, and they're interested in us doing the rezone to residential as well. So there's that. There's just a lot of little things like that. In addition, the biggest one that we're kind of waiting on is the Ridge and the Oasis, because they're zoned single family. So we're gonna correct that. So we'll rezone that to the correct density that already exists. So I'm hoping to take all of the residential actions as one, and then take all of the commercial kind of actions as another, and just kind of correct it. The city also has property, the property on Ridgecrest Boulevard, that's the city yard. That's zoned, partially zoned residential. We would correct that. So that's just a lot of here and there's. Also in the general plan, we have some things that just don't apply anymore. There's commercial village zones on there, and they're in and on top of residential neighborhoods. So by law, I can't rezone anything residential. I can't downzone it because of RENA. So that's our regional housing needs allocation. We can't lose housing units, so those need to go from our map and probably be moved to where they actually are, that they make a little bit more sense. Like where the beer cave is, right? That's more of your commercial, your neighborhood commercial, and then, Upjohn and Downs, that's your, because these essentially are supposed to be like little markets where you can go without having to drive all the way across town, right? Decreasing like your trips. So those are already exist in our community. So kind of taking those designations off the map where we can't have them anyway, just makes sense.
We're just not going to do one of those every other corner either.
No, and if you look at the map, they're just, there's one just in the middle of Ridgecrest Heights, which Ridgecrest Heights can be served in the same kind of way as the original intent by the station that's on, the corner of China Lake Boulevard and Downs, and the other one that's on Downs, and, yeah. So I don't want to change, and I will say that almost all of the properties that are on my list are things that I've already discussed with property owners in years past. So these aren't things that property owners are going to be surprised about or even that they don't want. These are things that are going to help the property owners as well. So.
Thank you. Travis, you mentioned something about a cost for updating the code for ADUs. That's an annual? That's assuming that those codes change, is that right?
Won't be an annual, so basically what'll happen is every time we have a new code cycle,
Building code.
building code cycle, so it'll be a 3-year process.
Okay.
So we'll have to go back and update it and try to make it, and we can still be ready because the majority of your changes change with the IBC before that. So we can do a sweep before and make sure we're ready, and then when the actual CBC comes out, we can make sure we've caught everything we need to catch.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so that'll be one of those things that depending on how busy we are, we can either do it in-house or it might be something that gets farmed out depending on where we're at with projects and things like that.
Thank you.
Commissioners?
I have a question. The ADU standard plans that the city's gonna purchase, will those be available to like the general public?
Yeah, so that's what the law is going to require, is that every jurisdiction has a standard plan. So what that means at the building counter is that you can come and not have to have your plan go through an entire plan check. You're just ready to move. And so that's the plan that we'll have available for the public. So they'll be able to use that ADU and duplex plan as a standard plan, and anybody will be able to use it.
The only thing they'll have to provide is they'll be able to take that plan, go out and start, they can put all the walls up, and then they'll have to get their own trust calcs and their own Title 24 for whatever location on the lot so you face to make sure your energy numbers work.
Okay.
So,
That's good. That's all I have.
Commissioners?
Nothing for me.
Any comment from the public? Seeing none. So our resolution is 2406.
Correct.
Wow. He waited all day for that. I recommend that we approve Resolution 2406, recommendation to the city approving the general plan housing element. And Rena?
I'll second.
Chairman Cox?
Aye.
Vice Chairman Ferris?
Aye.
Commissioner Hayman?
Aye.
Commissioner Mondragon?
Aye.
4 ayes, motion carries.
Commissioners, do we have committee reports?
So, let me start.
Sure.
Economic Development met. We discussed some of the new projects that were coming in. And we discussed sort of a game plan for ICSC this year. And then City Org met also and discussed waste management and the sanitation issues in Ridgecrest, and then also off a little bit about what's going on in the county as well, so, and how much better Ridgecrest was prepared for this than the county, so, on a footnote.
Our second stab at it.
Yeah.
Commissioners, any other committee reports?
Quality of life. We went over shade structures, the pool design update, and then the CDBG project updates as well.
Okay. Bernie?
Infrastructure, we just went over some traffic studies and was about it?
infrastructure did not meet.
Wait, we did.
No.
Oh, wait, that's right. We didn't have a quorum. We discussed items.
My fault, my fault. I gave him the wrong time. I'll own that. So, anyway, okay. Any staff items that need to come before us?
So we're working on, I already told you the comments to HCD for the draft housing element, so hopefully we can get that approved. I do have 2 more map extensions that we did last January that will be coming to you. Same kind of thing. Other than that, I don't have anything else right now.
A question for Travis since he's here.
Go ahead.
Sir, we just approved another extension for a tentative tract map for 36 months. Do you know if this is shovel-ready? Are they moving on that, or is that just an extension for now?
I would say it's pretty close to shovel-ready, so it's got, the rough grading is done there. It's
Okay.
just a matter of fine grading for streets, roads, and doing all their improvements. As far as if they're gonna move on it, I think they're looking to sell it right now. But I do know there's a couple people that have interest, because they have asked, I've had a couple calls about whether or not this map will have enough time for it to be built, and obviously now that it's got a 3-year extension, there's enough time for it to be built.
Right.
So,
And again, that's 3 years. There's still another 2 years that are remaining, right? So obviously, if we see a lot of progress, it's not going to be nil. So, yeah, perfect. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Commissioners, any other things for this evening? If not, then I will close our meeting at 6:35.